Alright guys, this is Bukaki here. We're going to show you video factoring polynomials by grouping. My Algebra 2 class, you saw this briefly, but let's practice some more. We want to use the grouping method when you have 4 terms, typically. Not saying you couldn't use it when you had more, but in this book, we will look at it when we have 4 terms. You want to make sure that your polynomial is written in standard form, meaning that we have a descending order of exponents, which we do here, so we're good. We don't have to change anything. What I'm going to do is kind of make this kind of dotted line here, and that represents which factors we're going to group. I'm going to group our first 2 together, and then our second 2. So ask yourself, what do these 2 factors, or what do these 2 pieces of this expression have in common? What do they share? Well, we know that they share x's, specifically 2. We have an x squared here and an x cubed. And then it looks like we can factor a 4 out of our numbers. So I am going to factor out of here a 4x squared. What am I left with? Well, when I divide 8x cubed divided by 4x squared, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and x cubed divided by x squared is just an x. Remember our rules for exponents: when you're dividing, you're actually subtracting them. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, we go to our second term. When I divide 20 divided by 4, I'm going to have a 5. And x squared divided by itself is just 1. So I'm left with a 2x minus 5. Now the idea behind grouping, you want to make sure that your quantities will match up, and you'll see what I mean when I come over here. Okay, so let's look on the right-hand side of our polynomial, and it looks like I have a 2x minus 5, but I need a 2x plus 5. So what I'm going to do, instead of grouping around the numbers and variables, in this case I'm going to group that -1 in here too. So let me erase this. I'll rewrite it. And I'm actually going to put my parentheses around that negative out in front as well. So I still have this -2x minus 5, but I need it to look like a 2x plus 5. What can I do? What can I divide this by in order to achieve that? Well, I can take a -1 out. When I do that, I'm left with a -2 divided by -1 is just 2. And a -5 divided by -1 is a plus 5. So this is what we want. We want our terms inside the parentheses to match up, and they do. So my last step here is to write my factored form completely. And what I'm going to do is take these 2 terms that I pulled out in front and create a quantity. And this is my second quantity, is what's left in the parentheses. 2x plus 5. And we're done. So one way to check this, of course, is to FOIL. And it looks like my first term will give me an 8x cubed, which is what I want. My outside term is a plus 20x minus 2x. Oh, hold on. Okay, never mind. I see what I did. So we have, again, a 4x squared times 2x is 4x cubed, or 8x cubed rather, which is what we want. Our outside term is a plus 20x squared, which is what we want. My inside term is a minus 2x, which is what we want. And lastly, a minus 5. So we're good to go when I checked it with FOIL, our foiling method. And we're good. Let's try another example. Okay, our polynomial 6x cubed minus 7x squared plus 6x minus 7. The formatting is good. It's in standard form, so we can proceed. and kind of make our little division line here. I'm going to group these two items together and these two items together. Now, what can I take out of my first grouping? Well, it looks like I have an x squared in common. That's the only thing. Nothing else. 6 and 7 don't share any other factors, so besides 1. So we can take out an x squared. And what am I left with? Well, 6x cubed divided by x squared, it's just 6x. And 7x squared divided by x squared leaves us with 6x minus 7. So that's good. And look, we also have a 6x minus 7 over here. So I can pull that down. But I still need something to kind of fill in what will be our first portion of our factored polynomial. So what can I divide both terms by to get to the exact same thing? Well, a 1. I can divide by a 1. Alright, so we have an x squared plus 1 times the quantity 6x minus 7. Foiling it, we should get the same thing as we do up here, which we do, and we're good to go. Last but not least, there's one more polynomial. We have some more variables in here as compared to our last one, but it's the same method. So again, let's group our factors together and see what they have in common. I look at my first grouping. Looks like I have just a's in common. So we'll drop that down. I have an a times the quantity b minus 2c. And we come over here. Looks like we just have a 3 in common. We have a 3 and a negative 6. Well, I can take out that 3. Times the quantity b minus 2c. And look, they match up. We're good to go. Now, is this positive or negative, this 3 right here? Well, if you look above you, it is a positive 3. So you can kind of add that. And then when you're writing out your final factoring, you include the positive. So we have a plus 3 times the quantity b minus 2c. And we are done. Thanks for watching. See you in class.